this would be something easy for us to do. But we don't want to step on the toes of our customers. In this crisis, the non-food side made up for the slack in the food side.
Hi everyone, we are in again for another stock market deep dive. In this video, we're gonna drill in deeper with D&L Industries Incorporated, and we have none other than their CEO and President, Alvin Lao, joining us in the podcast. Alvin, thanks for joining us.
Hi Marvin, thanks very much for the invitation.
Before I begin with the questions, how are you in this new year? We've started probably of the first 3 weeks of the year already. How's everything?
We're looking forward to a good 2021 after, 2020 was such an unexpected turn. So, cautiously optimistic.
Got it. Before I go to the meat of my questions, I normally ask a bit of light questions just to see how you would think and analyze. And the viewers love to see how executives answer very, very witty questions. So here's my first question. If you have a choice to pick how you would earn, would you go for something that you love but earn less? Or would you go for something that would earn massively more but you're dragging yourself every day to work?
So since I was young, I was taught not to do things just for money.
Wow.
So I guess it would be the do what you love but earn less. But having said that, I think no matter what your job is, there's always a way to do it that makes you stand out from others. So the trick is to find a way to make yourself be the best at what you do. And hopefully the customers will prefer you more and you'll earn more money.
Wow, it's a good hybrid. That's a good answer. Now another question is this. You get mugged in the street, then the robber would ask you, pili ka ano bibigay ko sa'yo o kunin ko sa'yo, wallet mo o cellphone mo, what would you give and why?
So, pag may magnanakaw, I would give them anything they ask for. Material things can always be replaced, but safety is priceless.
Wow. That's the best answer I've ever heard about this. But yeah, a lot of people would say their phones because everything is there. It's harder to get all of the contacts back, but that's a very, very good answer.
Yeah. Naka-backup naman eh.
I want to go to the meat of what we want to talk about. And as you all know, 2020 was a year where a lot of people/businesses got disrupted. My question is, I want to backtrack 10 months back to March 2020 when the lockdowns were announced. What was the first thing that went into your head as a person leading the business? And second, what went into your mind when you saw the market open after they started to open the market, and then you saw stock prices drop, including D&L as well?
I thought, kawawa na naman Pilipinas, all those people whose livelihoods would be affected. And true enough, the economy just froze. In terms of the stock market, I guess I did expect it to fall, and it did fall. Pero, having gone through Asian financial crisis, global financial crisis, all the problems we've had before, the drop was actually not that much. And it recovered pretty fast. Most stocks are not at the same levels as pre-pandemic, pero recovered quite a lot from the bottom very quickly.
At times like that, as a leader of a corporation, does fear still come into your mind, or because you mentioned that you've already gone through this before, this is something that was expected and you had plans for it already?
Oh no, there's always fear. I mean, it's good to have emotions in a way because not that you should make decisions based on emotions, but to at least temper you and keep you on solid ground. Every time something happens, may takot pa rin, definitely.
D&L is in my opinion, one of the best B2B companies in the Philippines that you are almost everywhere. At least your clients are everywhere, and without you, your clients wouldn't thrive as well. But a lot of people who are consumers don't know that. I guess what's the easiest way for people to get to know DNL more, so that they get to find out how nice the business model is as well?
This was the problem we had when we did our IPO in 2012. So we're a company that doesn't have any brand names. We don't do any advertising for our products. We're always behind the scenes. So I would describe D&L as a company that uses R&D, so chemistry, technology, and then we customize products for our clients in the food and the manufacturing industries. We develop a lot of products for many well-known brands, but true enough, nothing that's branded on our own. But I'd say it's fair, if you go to any mall, look at most of the restaurants there, especially the chains. If you go to the supermarket, you look on the shelf, if something is made in the Philippines, there's a good chance either the product itself, there's something there that's an ingredient that comes from us, or even the packaging. So we are the largest supplier of ingredients and raw materials for packaging products, especially when it comes to colorants and other additives for packaging. We're involved as well. And again, it goes to many companies, many brands.
What protects you also from a competitor coming out with the same service that they could provide your customers as well, given that it's not a brand battle within your customers?
For a competitor to come in, it's not as simple as outspending us on marketing, diba? The challenge is really building relationships with customers. So we've been in this business for over 50 years. We have a lot of clients who have been our customers, for decades, or at least since they started. So that will be the challenge for any competitor. So not only do they have to build up the R&D capability and all of the manufacturing capacity and all of the infrastructure and support services that go along with these activities, they would also need to build and have very good relationships with a lot of these brands. So it actually helps us that we have this long relationship with a lot of these companies, because, if you think about it, let's say for a food company, usually one of the last things a food company would want to do is to change suppliers, because proven na yung suppliers nila, and then they don't want to introduce risk into the system. So that's actually, it doesn't mean we can be complacent. It doesn't mean that we can just relax and not try our best. We still need to provide the best service, the best products for our clients, to avoid them, giving them that temptation of going outside looking for a substitute for our products. So we need to be on our toes. But in general, this is not a category that's easy to break into. So when we were new to this business, that was a challenge for us, because there were other incumbent players. We had to break in. We were the incumbent. But over 50 plus years, we've done that. So now we're the incumbent. That's the challenge for someone new coming in.
I just want to add to this. You said that you work with brands. Do you have any plans also, maybe in the distant future, to create your own brand, given that you already can manufacture it cheaper than just create your own brand as well?
From an outsider, it's fair to say or observe that this would be something easy for us to do. But something that's very sacred for us is we don't want to step on the toes of our customers. The last thing we want to happen is for our customers to sense or feel that we are a threat to them. And So because that would decimate our existing business.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So what might make sense is we might go into something that is not being offered by our existing customers. Something totally different where maybe there's an opportunity. So that could be interesting for us. But I would say we will not go do something that would just step on our customers' toes. That's a big no-no for us.
I want to have people to have a sense also on how DNL was from a business and revenue standpoint. How were you doing pre-lockdown? Then in the midst of the strictest lockdowns, March, April, then some portions of May, then to where we are right now, that mobility is relatively better already.
The businesses were actually doing okay. They were doing better than 2019. And so we thought 2020 would be a growth year. So now during lockdown, we were still able to operate as most of our products are considered essential, though the resulting drop in demand just really meant lower sales. But thankfully, our fixed costs are low. So at the worst point in April, even though sales dropped like something like 60 or 70%, ang laki. Talagang bagsak. But because our fixed costs are quite low, our fixed costs in general are below 20% kasi of our overall revenue. So, meaning, kahit na bumagsak ng 70% revenue namin, may kita pa rin ng konti. So, we're thankful for that. So, it means every month of the lockdown, even though things looked really bleak, demand was low, we never lost money for any particular month. And we count that as a blessing. But as of the third quarter, our non-food side, I think I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much back to where it was in 2019, comparable third quarter to third quarter. Yung food lang medyo mahina pa. A lot of restaurants are not 100% open. Those that are open, 50% dine-in lang pag GCQ. And then there's also fear. A lot of people still don't want to go out as much, meet with family, friends. So I think that lack of demand will probably still persist for quite a while, at least for the food side.
You mentioned your essential businesses and also the ones that are connected to food. So there was a divergence on it. Did the essential businesses compensate also for the lack of demand in the food side, especially for the restaurants and the fast food chain?
So we're lucky in the sense we're kind of diverse in a way. So we are big in food, but we're also big in non-food. So in this crisis, the non-food side made up for the slack in the food side. So the other way to look at this, once things recover, it's only a matter of time. Even the Spanish flu, it went away after, I think, 2 years without a vaccine. So, all of the pandemics before, all of them eventually disappeared. And it's likely we're going to see a recovery from coronavirus when things go back to normal. The blessing for us is hopefully our non-food side has grown and is strong. And then the food side, that's the chance for it to recover and go back to strengths. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Looking at it also, that a lot of those people who are in the food space, or at least in the brick and mortar fast food chains and restaurants, some of them started to pivot also doing a lot of sales online. Given that there's more mobility, do you see demand to just continually increase because people are now also walking into stores and then they're ordering also online? And will it be a possible trend that you see it spike up even more this year?
That's a trend that already started before in other markets like the US or even here in Asia, where people would browse online, but they'd still want to get a look and feel of the actual product, or maybe do a taste test in the store. But to save money, they'd order it online. I would say that would likely catch on here as well. Retailers would have to adjust to this. Pero I think as a culture, Pinoys, they like to touch, they like to see it and smell it. I don't know, maybe, it might happen, pero maybe not at the same scale and the same pace that we would see in other markets. I think Pinoys in general, gusto mo pa rin, di ba? Ikuin, hawakin, amuyin, and so on. So,
given your exposure to so many businesses because they're your clients, do you see that based on how they've started to already build more transactions also, you see the recovery for 2021 to be much better and faster also, given that the vaccine's already here, people are gonna go out, and then the recovery will be smoother than what people are predicting. Na it might be still slower for all of us.
Definitely more optimistic. I think one key is, in 2020, we were really badly affected by, but ECQ was 2 months. Then after that, MECQ, there were still a lot of restrictions. Lockdown talaga tayo. And we had that because the COVID cases were just going up so much. But there was a lot of fear in general. A lot of people were, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know how bad it was. I think, so you got a few new things happening in 2021. One, so we did see case counts start to go up after New Year, kasi it was kind of expected. People going out, siguro case counts would go up. But knock on wood, as of the third week of January, the increase in case counts doesn't seem to be as much as it was, at least compared to what we were seeing last year. And then you combine that with people kind of getting used to going out with face masks and face shields. Parang nasasanay na that's how it is. Public transport's not back to 100%, but it's definitely at a much higher level than where it was before. Then a lot of people bought their own either vehicles or bikes to get around. So a lot of factors which point to us, I think, doing a lot better 2021.
Got it. And just observing things, so I think the difference between January 2021 from March 2020 was basically there were still a lot of unknowns. We don't know how bad it was. We don't know how do you get it. But now there's a lot of data already, and there's already a lot of measures to keep people protected also. So I think that's giving confidence for people to somehow have a semblance of having life back to where it was pre-pandemic.
Yes, I hope so. I think the government I think they did a good job in the sense that the government did make a lot of announcements, and they emphasize things like wearing masks, social distancing, which at the end of the day, I believe did help curtail the spread. So yeah, I mean, for lack of resources and lack of enough, capability, the government did what it could. So yeah, we're at least, we're not, nakakatakot ngayon when you look at what's happening in the US or in Europe, the case counts just increasing wildly. The US has had more deaths from COVID than the Philippines has had cases. I mean, statistics like that, it is very, very scary.
That being said, given that we're transitioning already from a lot of unknowns to where we are right now, are there any items that you did at the height of the lockdowns that even after this pandemic you think you will continue to do, or any innovations that you saw that you did in your business that you will carry through after this?
Before, pretty much all our meetings were in person. It's not in our culture to meet online, diba? We want to meet people in person. Pinoys are very personable as a culture. I think that's changed. So likely there will be less traveling for meetings, because some meetings, like this interview, for example, online is fine. It does. If it's a meeting where you don't need to influence someone, then something online, if it's more like for educational or information, online is fine. And that's probably something we would be seeing more in the country. Definitely in our company, it's likely something we'll be still continuing to do. We may not replace all our meetings. A lot of meetings may revert back to in person, but instead of having people fly from Cebu and Davao to meet, or coming from Laguna and Batangas, some of it can be online. Okay lang.
And I think what's interesting about that is, at least from a personal standpoint, it has made people more efficient, because traffic has
Yes, tama.
your productivity, and pagod ka na eh. So traveling 2 to 4 hours a day. I imagine, just talking about this meeting, if we would meet, it's like an hour going to the destination, then the meet itself, then traveling back again. But you save time already, which you can use for a lot of things, which I think is an advantage for the Philippines, because we're a country that's heavily laden with traffic. So I think it's a plus for people who want to be more efficient and productive as well.
You're absolutely right. And another thing we did, which will likely stay on, so we have looked at converting a lot of our processes online as well. So everything from payments to our suppliers, money transfers with the banks, collections from customers. We even put up, we have 2 online channels now, which, before there was a lot of resistance, but, during ECQ, there was no choice, diba? Kasi people were so afraid of going out. So there were other improvements also. But yes, definitely, hopefully, less need to go out and less time spent in traffic.
Got it. You disclosed this a couple of months back, that you opened a new facility in Batangas. I want to know more about that, and I'm sure everyone watching this would want to know more about what's there, what's the difference between your older facilities, and then the rationale behind that to make D&L grow bigger, better, and stronger.
Sure. So we have 6 existing locations for our manufacturing, 5 in Metro Manila and 1 in Laguna. And a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, we were starting to get close to the maximum level of capacity. So meaning, if more customer orders come in, if the economy grows, it would be not easy to increase capacity. So we really had to expand. So we started looking around. Land in Manila is very expensive, getting more expensive. So we really had no choice but to look outside for an expansion site. So we were lucky enough to find a site. It's in Tanawan, in Batangas. The size of the the size of the lot is 26 hectares, which is 260,000 square meters. That's about double the size of our existing facilities combined, the 6 sites.
Wow.
Just to give you an idea of how big 260,000 square meters is, Mega Mall, that land area is 100,000 square meters. So the land area that we got for the expansion it's over 2.5 times the size of the land where Mega Mall is. So we started construction end of 2018. We were originally supposed to finish construction middle of this year, but because of ECQ, nag-delay, and so we'll likely finish end of this year. But the idea is several. Number one, it's a way for us to add more capacity to our existing sites. Second, the facility is in an export zone, in a PEZA zone. And so this is aligned with our vision or direction to increase our exports as a percent of our overall sales. So Before the pandemic, exports made up anywhere from 20 to 25% of our revenue. So we want so so a couple of years ago, we talked about how we want to increase our exports as a percent of sales from 20 to 25% to increase it to 50%. So that's double. And so being in a PESA zone, that would hopefully give us that capability and of course the incentives to reach that 50% export level. It might take a while. I mean, it's going to be a lot of effort from our sales guys and of course our production team and R&D teams as well to ramp up production. Because coming from this expansion, it's totally new. We won't have business immediately, diba? It's gonna take time for new business to come in, but it's our vision to eventually get there. So that's the plan. So wish us luck.
Of course, and for sure, based on your track record, you guys are, in my opinion, doing very, very well, and it's your skills that you developed through the years, and you're just really scaling it.
One, we have a very strong focus on R&D. Since we know the needs of the customer and then we have the R&D capability, that's what allows us to continue to come up with the products that our customers need. So not a lot of people know this. We have 17 members of the Lao family actively involved in the company. Mas hindi ako takot kasi I know that the 16 other family members are strongly behind me and they're trying as hard as well to build the business up.